When Christmas really starts in Britain, there's no snow, no choir, just one blinking bulb above a wet, ordinary street. Someone on a ladder tests each light like a tiny verdict, as if one dead bulb could cancel the whole season. Below, traffic drags through puddles that mirror the growing glow, turning brake lights into smeared ribbons of accidental decoration. You don't plan to stop, but the moment the last strand flickers on, the street feels quietly upgraded to almost magical. Wooden huts appear overnight around the town square, bare planks smelling of rain and nails, more construction site than Christmas dream. In daylight they look ridiculous, like abandoned stage props, but the council posters promise winter wonderland with unsettling confidence. By late afternoon, shutters roll up, and the same rough wood suddenly sells nostalgia. Handmade ornaments, sugared almonds, improbable hot chocolate. A generator coughs alive behind the stalls, its low growl hiding beneath sleigh bells and familiar melodies on repeat. Different versions of the same three songs collide in the air, a chaotic remix battling for space in your head. Steam rises from paper cups like special effects, catching coloured lights as strangers queue to drink something mainly purchased for warmth. The first real hook is smell, not sight. Roasted nuts, burnt sugar, cheap candles fighting bravely against diesel and damp pavement. Kids tug sleeves toward a carousel that looked rusty yesterday and suddenly claims to be enchanted because someone added tinsel. Plastic reindeer circle endlessly above the cobbles, their paint chipped, eyes too bright, hooves clattering in time with a tired jingle. Behind them, a man in a Santa suit adjusts his beard between photos. Half celebrity, half exhausted seasonal employee on break. Parents lift phones and children simultaneously, trying to capture proof that we did Christmas properly this year from the correct angle. Around the corner, the department store is playing a different game entirely, using glass and light instead of noise and sugar. Its windows are tiny theatres where clockwork penguins skate forever, never falling, never reaching the cardboard horizon painted behind them. Artificial snow drifts in slow motion inside the display, while real rain runs down the outside, streaking both worlds together. Faces gather at the glass, reflections mixing strangers into the scene so neatly it's hard to see where display ends. Somewhere above those lights and speakers, a single office window stays dark, blinds closed, ignoring the whole glittering performance below. Street musicians retreat into doorways, brass instruments glowing faintly as fingers stiffen, but the high notes somehow still arrive. A teenage choir in mismatched scarves starts Silent Night, and for 3 verses the buses actually sound a little quieter. One voice cracks on the final note. They all glance sideways, then keep singing, laughing straight through the last long chord. At the square's edge, a temporary ice rink reflects everything. Lights and faces shredded into streaks by skates carving uncertain patterns. A man clings to the barrier, pretending to help a child, obviously borrowing their courage more than offering any of his own. Teenagers slice past with reckless confidence, phones already out, hunting the perfect fool for group chats and short loop-in video. Sometimes the DJ plays something that isn't really a Christmas song, just ordinary pop with desperate sleigh bells stapled on top. Near the rink's corner, hot chestnut smoke folds into the night, thicker than perfume, older than every advertisement around it. The seller's hands move automatically, knife slit in shells, paper bags crackle in, coins vanishing into a drawer older than his apron. You burn your fingertips on the first chestnut every year, swear you'll wait next time, then never actually do. Down a side street the decorations thin out, but one tiny barber shop has gone all in on a single window. Tinsel wraps the mirror frame inside. A miniature nativity balances dangerously between jars of combs, scissors and aftershave bottles. An elderly man sits having his hair trimmed under fairy lights, face reflected twice, once remembered young, once unavoidably current. On the bus, home shopping bags fog the windows, damp plastic pressed between knees, elbows and strangers' heavy winter coats. Someone's leaky headphones bleed a different carol into the aisle, clashing with the driver's radio and the engine's tired humming. Outside, houses slide past in rows, some completely dark, others blazing like they are auditioning for a prize nobody will award. Front gardens host glowing reindeer armies, hollow plastic bodies filled with warm light, antlers dripping with steady December drizzle. Inflatable snowmen bow in the wind, collapsing then resurrecting with every hidden fan's wheezing breath from the back hedge. Every few streets, a single undecorated house sits stubbornly plain, curtains closed tight around a story you will never know. Turn into a cul-de-sac where everyone silently agreed years ago to go completely overboard and never scale back again. Neighbors stand outside with steaming mugs, pretending this is casual, pretending they haven't noticed passing cars slowing down for photo. Children press faces to car windows, pointing at an 8-foot Santa halfway up a roof, forever climbing a permanently secured ladder. Somewhere behind those glowing facades, someone is still untangling last year's lights, quietly swearing at knots that apparently tied themselves. The television in the background shows perfect snow that never turns brown, street lamps without rust, smiles without supermarket queues. Across town, a night shift worker walks past the same decorations, seeing only reflections trembling in dark shopfront glass and puddles. For them, Christmas is measured less in parties and more in which vending machine still has anything edible left after midnight. They cross the empty square that felt packed 2 hours earlier, fairy lights drifting above like low electric constellations nobody names. Around the railway station, Christmas looks different, more practical. Garlands wrapped around iron pillars above timetable boards and yawning passengers. Trains arrive breathing clouds into the cold, doors sliding open onto suitcases, paper bags of gifts, and carefully balanced plastic containers. Porters push trolleys piled with luggage and oddly shaped parcels wrapped in brown paper, handwritten labels clinging on with tape. Inside the carriages, windows fog instantly, turning outside into streaks while children draw smiley faces and crooked trees in condensation. Someone has brought mince pies in a tin that smells faintly of last year's biscuits, offering them shyly down the cramped aisle. Announcements crackle overhead, wishing everyone a Merry Christmas in the same tone usually reserved for service disruptions and replacement buses. At quiet suburban stations, a single string of lights hangs above the platform, shivering every time a train rushes through. People stamp their feet on the concrete, watching their own breath rise like small, impatient ghosts toward the departure board. A cardboard Santa is taped inside the ticket window, one corner already curling away from the glass, grin permanently unconcerned. On village greens, temporary marquees glow from within, silhouettes moving around trestle tables loaded with raffle prizes and foil-covered trade. The PA system feeds back once, then a local announcer thanks sponsors, volunteers, and anyone who remembered to bring correct change. Children queue for a grotto built in a storage cupboard, fairy lights disguising mops, buckets, and a suspiciously modern fuse box. When the door opens, the magic lasts exactly until someone spots Santa's trainers beneath the red suit and fraying trousers. In church halls, folding chairs scrape across wooden floors, forming crooked rows facing a stage covered in paper snowflakes. Someone tests the microphone by saying hello 4 times, then breathing into it like they've never met electronics before. A sign on the door says Christmas quiz night, but everyone knows it's mostly an excuse for biscuits and gossip. At primary schools, cardboard crowns and tinsel halos tangle together on a long table, each labelled with names in shaky handwriting. Backstage, one child realises they've lost a shepherd's headscarf and briefly considers going on stage in just the tea towel. The teacher running sound presses play on the track too early, creating an accidental remix of footsteps, whispers, and opening narration. Parents in the audience hold cameras above their heads, framing wobbly stars and donkeys who keep forgetting which side to enter. When the first carol finally starts in tune, the entire hall exhales, as if someone has just defused a very festive bomb. Outside, the playground is slick with frost, swing chains rigid, breath visible even under the orange halo of security lights. Teenagers cut across the empty tarmac on their way somewhere else. Trainers squeak in faintly, pockets full of unwrapped sweets. On motorway service stations, plastic trees blink beside vending machines, their fibres cycling calmly through every colour known to early LEDs. Drivers step out into the cold with stiff legs, yawning behind gloved fists, staring at the decorations like they're for someone else. Inside, the cafe offers a limited edition festive sandwich that tastes mostly of packaging and the idea of cranberry. A cleaner slowly wipes down a table decorated with a plastic holly, moving the leaves aside with the indifference of long experience. In terraced streets, rubbish collection days shift by one number, confusing everyone, and decorating pavements with bonus bags for a week. Wheelie bins wear tinsel like reluctant party guests, lids refusing to close over cardboard mountains and torn wrapping paper. Foxes patrol the alleys at night, tails high, investigating every discarded turkey bone and glittering ribbon for potential treasure. At the edge of town, a garden centre transforms into a forest of artificial trees, perfectly symmetrical and permanently fragrant. Animatronic reindeer nod mechanically beside overpriced baubles, their plastic jaws opening on the same pre-recorded greeting every 8 seconds. Shoppers wander between aisles of ornaments that look strangely similar to last year's, only slightly more determined to sparkle. Somewhere near the back, among clearance stock, a single dusty decoration from another decade hangs on the wrong hook. For a moment it feels like a portal, less perfect, more honest, a survivor from when things weren't colour coordinated. Late at night, delivery vans still reverse into narrow lanes, beeping into darkness, unloading crates destined for morning displays. Drivers share quick jokes with night staff under their breath, eyes half closed, hands moving with automatic caffeine-fueled precision. Inside, shelf stackers in paper hats build towers of selection boxes that look strangely like small, edible apartment blocks. The store's speakers sing to the empty aisles, lyrics bouncing off tins and cereal boxes with no one left to impress. On Christmas Eve, the high street reaches a final, frantic pitch, like a song holding its breath before the last chorus. Queues snake out of doorways, people clutching lists with pen marks, scanning shelves that now offer only the strange leftovers. A lone toy rattles on the hook where the popular ones lived, its battery demo chirping into the chaos unnoticed. The person at the front forgets their pin, laughs too loudly, tries again while everyone behind rehearses patience. When the shutters finally roll down, the sound echoes along the street like a curtain dropping at the end of a play. Shopkeepers stack last-minute displays behind the glass, then step outside for a moment, staring at their own reflections instead of merchandise. Somewhere, a pub door opens with a blast of heat and noise, spilling laughter, scarves, and the smell of damp coats. Around midnight, church bells start pulling people through the cold, each chime sounding older than everything else, pretending to be tradition. Candles are handed out at the porch with whispered warnings about dripping wax, everyone instantly ignoring them once singing begins. When the main lights click off, the congregation becomes just floating faces and small flames, breathing together in the dark. Voices rise on familiar verses, some strong, some wobbly, all of them somehow louder than the building seems big enough for. Outside again, the street feels briefly rearranged. Same lampposts, same puddles, but footsteps slower, conversation softer, breath hanging like mist. In bedrooms, children negotiate with sleep and excitement, listening for sounds that mean magic or just creaky central heating. Stockings hang from radiators, bedposts, door handles, anything that looks capable of holding extra weight until morning. Phones glow under duvets as older kids scroll through endless photos of identical trees, identical mugs, identical caption miracle. Morning arrives without trumpets, just kettles, television idents, and the rustle of someone testing wrapping paper when they think nobody listens. Living rooms fill with the sound of tape ripping, cardboard tearing, polite surprise, and the tiny pause before real reaction. Batteries are hunted like rare wildlife, screwdrivers borrowed, instruction leaflets skimmed, then abandoned in favor of improvisation. Dogs patrol the floor for edible fallout, tails sweeping discarded ribbons into new, chaotic patterns across the carpet. By afternoon, pavements outside tell their own story. Recycling bins overflowing with flattened boxes and defeated plastic packaging. Neighbours nod at each other on short walks between meals, sharing a look that says we survived another year of this. As evening falls, the lights outside seem slightly less bright, or maybe eyes have finally adjusted to constant sparkle. Television brings out the same films it always does, comforting reruns that work like background heating for the brain. Some people doze in armchairs beneath paper crowns, mouths slightly open, still clutching half-finished conversations. In city centres, the day after looks like an aftermath. Decorations unchanged, but energy drained out of every cable. Shop windows hastily swap messages of joy for red signs shouting sale, as if celebration now depends on percentages. Fairground rides sit still on the darkened square, carriages swaying gently in the wind without music or scream. At the ice rink, the ice lies unmarked for a while, a smooth mirror waiting for the first brave pair of skates. Rubbish trucks move slowly down back streets, hydraulic arms lifting containers full of glittering, anonymous evidence of yesterday. Foxes and birds pick through what the trucks miss. Christmas reduced to smell and texture rather than slogan and song. Yet even when the adverts stop and the playlists finally change, a few stubborn lights stay on in upstairs window. They burn quietly against the drizzle, not for show anymore, just habit, like the year refusing to end too suddenly. Somewhere a single wreath still hangs on a tired door, berries dulled, ribbons slack, but nail refusing to let go. The last uneaten mince pie sits under cling film in a quiet kitchen, its pastry softening while the year hardens. On a forgotten chair, a paper crown waits, folded flat again, edges ripped where someone laughed too hard to notice. Outside, the town exhales steam from chimneys and drains, decorations blinking on autopilot as calendars quietly turn the page. Christmas doesn't leave in one moment here. It thins out slowly, like fog, until you realize you can finally see distance. And somewhere between the last blinking fairy light and the first ordinary morning, Britain remembers how to be normal again.